Hola, mi gente. Para una otra vez. Hello, my people, for another time. Welcome back to Learning Language Expresiones con Preposiciones. Uno. Expressions with prepositions 1. First off, I mispronounced the entire video. Last time I said encuentros, okay, encuentros, encounters. Wrote the R instead of the N. I put it into Google, it said casual intercourses. The casual encounters can lead to some casual intercourses, so, maybe a little something there, who knows. But I definitely mispronounced what I intended to the entire video. But I thought it'd be useful again just to go through more of these, just whatever's on these sheets, just all of these different expressions, and particularly we're going to talk about the use of prepositions in the Spanish language, and then we'll go through a bunch of different phrases. On parte uno, we're going to be doing phrases that start with the preposition a. First off, just listing off some prepositions in Spanish, definitely not an exhaustive list, but these are the ones that really, like I said, I'm certain about the logical translations I'm doing. I'm definitely the authority there, but I can mispronounce things. I can not know just the actual definitions of words. My vocabulary is not super expansive, but I'm certain on the conjugations, translations, structure of the language for sure, for real, in any language. But to, or at, de, stay, day of, day stays typically from. De can be, again, depending on the example or the context, like the actual given piece of written words. Day stay to me always strikes me as from. Day is pretty much always of, but can be from sometimes. Not almost always, but a good amount. Mostly, predominantly, I would say day is used for of. In any translation I've done with day stay, most of the time it's been from. Pero, but, mientras, while, en, in, como, as, que, that, and I have than in parentheses. See, again, I never took Spanish in school. I took French a couple times in high school, but I've seen a lot of like que. I mean, it's literally the same preposition introduced as, that or than. But really, as I've developed more of my language skills, the context, it's pretty much never word for word translation. That the comparison is already presented in the verb or in just the context of the piece. So que to me is pretty much always that, but I have than in parentheses. Sobre, semantically I have it as on, but if you look it up in the dictionary, it says above, over, or upon. So a lot of like above, bajo is an adjective, not even a preposition, but I have it in the prepositions because when I was, again, just learning semantically, not, again, looking at every single word, bajo to me meant under or down. Well, abajo is down, but bajo to me I thought was just semantically was under. Look it up in the dictionary, it says adjective low. So like bajo and sobre, and sobre I had as semantically for sure as on, but then I look it up and it says above, over, or upon. And then it even says like the first listing in the dictionary that I showed you. And again, all of these things I look up on Google. If I'm confident with the translation myself, I don't look it up on Google, but I always look it up in the dictionary. But it just depends on which example, which translation. But these are more like commands, like abajo, down dog, get down. To me that strikes me as a command. So again, just context, even more so, things that I thought were structured prepositions are just emergent from the context in which they're in. And then con, with. And then I have asterisks next to con, que, como, en, pero, de, a. As the ones you'll see those first, and you'll use those a lot. Again, sobre, bajo, and abajo, those will be present as well, and mientras as well. And then I have mientras up there for a couple specific other reasons for the examples. So now, again, we'll go through literally all of them on the expressions with a and de, expresiones con a y de, the Spanish idioms and advanced vocabulary, if you want to look them up yourselves. So we'll start going through them. A causa de, to cause of, to cause from. And typically, Except in here when I first translated it from, but the use of or from to me, again, these are expressions, but there's a context, there's subjects, this is a piece of literature. The piece is going to really determine if I would translate it word for word as of or from. Semantically, you can pretty much get by, no problem. So I'll read my translations again and then go through what they have on here. A fin de que, to finish from that. Fin, fini. French, fin, fini, finish. Right? Finish, descriptive of the Finland language. Finish, the English word. Very confident that's just an abbreviation or shortened finish. Word for word, confident. A lo lejos, to it far away. Far. Dictionary, word for word. Look it up in the dictionary. A lo, to it, word for word. Lejos, far away or far. A más tardar, to more tardy. Word for word. Semantically, word for word. Right, at, more, most, slowest. Again, if I would interpret más as el más, the more, the most, versus más, more, right, more, más, iteration, iteration, iteration. El más, the most, would really be the differentiator for me. So that's why I have semantic word for word. At, more, most, slowest, right? A más tardar, right? Infinitive verb, at, and then in the dictionary when you look up that phrase, and a lot of these I don't agree with the dictionary or their definitions, but not severe ways. But if you look it up in the dictionary, you'll say tu padre se tarda, and that you clearly your father, direct object or direct pronoun, or subject pronoun, no, direct object pronoun, tardar. You are late. You are slow. Tardy. You are late. You are slow. You're retarded. You're slow. So I'm very sure that's what that translation is. A medida que, to measure that, word for word. And the dictionary has it as. But as is word for word como. But the semantic thing they're missing is measure as a comparison. General relativity, everything's relative. You need to compare it to something. To measure something is to compare something. So a medida que, to measure that. And so let's read through what they have and you'll see why I'm saying what I am. A causa de, because of. Because of? What about por qué? A fin de que, so that, in order that. No. To finish from that. A lo lejos, off in the distance, far away. Again, more word for word, just to it far. A más tardar, at the latest. Again, tardar is more to tardy, to retardation, to slow, but at most, slowest. Or at the latest. The slowest you could do something would be the latest. A medida que, while at the same time. No. That's just a medida que. That one to me is semantically and logically incorrect. At the same time as. Alright, then they say as. To measure that. To measure that against this. Eso o esa. Or eso, esto o eso. This or that. Now let's read some more phrases, make sure I'm still rolling. So I did not redo the board. If you're watching, it's the same phrases, but they're all, again, I'm assuming if you're actually going to be diligently watching this, trying to learn, you're going to have this, or at least you can be able to just hear me speak it. But they're all in order. Part 2 will be the phrases that start with de. So we did a medida que, and I'm actually going to read them off of here, and then I'll read my notes and my translations and go from that and flip up the order a little bit. So a menos que, they say unless, but at, less, that, to, less, that. A menudo. A menudo, they have this often. A menudo, literally word for word, or yeah, I'm going to my notes now. A menos que, to less that. A menudo, too small. Like not English T-O-O, but literally the preposition to, small. That's word for word. And so often, they have dictionary, they also have it in the dictionaries often, but that's just a menudo. Word for word translation means small. A mi parecer. Ser, recer, parecer. A mi parecer. To my seeming is word for word what it means, and then it says on here, in my opinion, to me it seems that. So I would just cross out the in my opinion, and to me it seems that. But a mi, to my, me, may. May is the direct object preposition. Right? Me is possessive. So a mi parecer. To my seeming. Literally what it translates to. Infinitive verb, seeming. To my seeming. A partir de plus a point in time. To part from. That is literally word for word. To parting from. In the dictionary, if you look up partir, it will say to divide. To part is to divide. Parse, cut, divide. But word for word, to part from. A pesar de. To word for word, to saddening from, of. And again, this is, I have examples on my notes. Again, most of these of or from is depending on the exact context or examples, and it always defaults to whatever makes more logical sense in English. But to pesar, saddening. To saddening of. In spite of is what they also have in the dictionary, but in spite, and on here they have in spite of or despite. English, no context, despite would be more or. This, despite that. This or that. In spite of, spite in English would be more of, tear down somebody, I'm going to spite you. Well, I guess that's smite, but spite, smite, same word family. Pie, on foot is what they have here. 2 foot, right? On, sobre. Foot, pie, word for word, fine. A proposito, by the way. By the way, por el camino is literally by the way. A proposito. Now, in the dictionary, it says to purpose, intent, right? At to purpose, at purposing, but it's not an infinitive verb. At purpose, at to intent is what I would say from the dictionary. But proposito is proposition, literally proposition. To proposition. By the way, not even close. To proposition. Here's a proposition for you. Pay me my money. Donde es mi dinero? Donde? A solas. On one's own, alone. There was no, for solas, I'm assuming that's like solo, sol, the sun, solo, descriptive, adjective, sun plus o, solo, alone. But there was no dictionary for solas at all, or dictionary definition for solas. But to alone is what I have. And I just have the sol, solo, solas development. Next one, a tiempo. Tiempo, time. Again, the ephemeral, the general sense, but again, translate in tiempo versus vase will be clear as fucking day. And they both literally mean time. On time, no. Sobre, on time. Música en tiempo. Music is music in time. Música es en tiempo. Music is in time. Rhythm is in time. But not on time. A traverse de. A traverse de. And they have it through, no. Literally, in the dictionary, I think they have it as, they have dictionary definition as through and across as well. But literally, word for word, it's to traverse of, or to traverse from. Literally, traverse is clearly linguistically traverse. And interesting, if you look up through from the Spanish to the English, it will say, in the dictionary, it will say, por media de, by middle of, right, through. Less prepositions, this is what they're doing. So those are the expressions I have. Expresiones con a y de. The next parte dos will be phrases that start with de. And my apologies, I don't have an overhead light. I have one little light right here, and it started raining, so this is going to be a pretty dark video, but I'm certainly not going to fucking reshoot it. So hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.